Hey friends, I'm Linda and this is Kelly. Welcome to the Grow Curriculum Deep Dive for our third series in Grow Kids Volume 7 called Are We There Yet? A 5-week series from the Old Testament on the Israelites and the wilderness.
If you're new to these deep dives with Linda and I, our goal is to give you a head start on preparing for this series, especially if you're a Grow user and if you're following our recommended scope and sequence. But even if you are not a Grow user, we are so glad that you're here to hang out with us. Feel free to steal some of these ideas and make them work for your own context.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for the next few minutes, we're going to give you a big picture view of what you can expect during the series, as well as a more in depth look at some of the specifics that you definitely don't want to miss. So, first, we're going to give you an overview of the Bible stories and big ideas for the month. And then we'll look at the theme for the series and give you some fun decorating ideas. And finally, we'll go over some of the special features the series has to offer. So please stay tuned. We have a lot to talk about, and you'll have everything you need to get started for Are We There Yet?
And week one of Are We There Yet? Which I feel like I have to say it that way. We start in Exodus 17 with a story of how God provided water for the Israelites by having Moses strike a rock. The people had observed God do impossible things just moments ago, but then they began to grumble and wail against God for rescuing them only to let them die in the wilderness. This story reminds us of what we all do, right? Now, they might have had a good reason to complain, but they also had a choice to look to God for help. And that's why this week's big idea is we can choose to be thankful.
In week two, we go to Exodus 20 to talk about the Ten Commandments and how these rules were not just arbitrary mandates, but guidelines for how to live as God's people and how God gave them to us to show that we can love God and others.
And that brings us to week three, which is the story in Exodus 32 about the golden calf. Because Moses went up the mountain to talk to God, the people were getting restless and unsure of who to follow. In a word, they were lost. The people turned to Aaron to make them something they could worship, and voila, a golden calf just appeared. Pretty much Aaron's exact words. This week's big idea reminds us that there may be times when we're lost, confused, lonely, disconnected, or actually literally lost. But in any case, we can turn to God when we're lost.
Then in week four, we're in Exodus chapter 33, where we learn about the tent of meeting and how Moses asked to see God's glory. This is a story that we don't really talk about that much in children's church, but it's a cool story because in this chapter, after leading the people for a while, Moses was undoubtedly exhausted and feeling the pressure from the people for various things. And he wanted some more assurances that God was with them and particularly with him. Relatable, right? All of us in ministry are like, yes. So God did show up and reminded him and us that we can go to God when we need rest.
Finally, in week five of this series, we come full circle to the second time Moses strikes a rock to get water in Numbers 20 and Deuteronomy 34. Except this time, he didn't do it at God's command. He did it out of his own anger and demonstrated that he was unfit to continue leading God's people. Sadly, that meant that he would not be able to enter the promised land himself, but God still showed Moses the promised land to show that that was still happening. And that's why this week's big idea is we can remember God's promises.
And this month's memory verse shows us that how even in the desert, God would never desert us. Hey. Isaiah 43:19b says, I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. Okay, let's talk about our favorite part, the theme. This month's decorating theme is deserts because we're talking about how God's people wandered in the wilderness. So, obviously, it's a perfect setting for that. And you'll see as you prepare for this lesson that we're talking about all kinds of deserts this month, from the Australian outback to the Sahara Desert and even Antarctica. Did you know Antarctica was a desert? I learned that while preparing for the series. Not to mention, the series is called Are We There Yet? So we could work in some road trip stuff as well. So lots of theming possibilities here. Kelly, what else can you tell us about setting up our environments for this month?
Yeah. So those are four dreaded words that every parent loathes to hear on vacation,
Mhm.
right? Are we there
Are
yet?
we there yet?
I can just imagine the Israelites saying that over and over, and Moses just being like, no, we're not there yet. The end. We're not there. But
5 more minutes.
oh my goodness, the bathroom breaks that the Israelites must have taken. But our environment for this month is going to be so hot, pun intended, or so cool if we're talking about Antarctica. Since we are in the desert, these cutout camels and cutout cacti are perfect to set the tone. You could even move them every week so it feels like you're actually traveling. Since we are talking about the Ten Commandments, you also might want to grab your very own replica of the tablets, which we've provided for you in an Amazon link. Now, when it comes to prizes or giveaways, or even maybe things to keep kids occupied while we're waiting to get there, I personally think sunscreen and compasses are perfect, but you could choose to give out water bottles to go along with the theme, or even these adorable desert stuffed animals, which are from Oriental Trading. Now, if you're looking to show a little love to your volunteers this month, also, we've included these fun cactus and succulent kits, which you could give away to your volunteer team. It's fun. You could make a pun. This series is a great time, of course, to help kids memorize the 10 Commandments. We have a ton of ideas on helping kids memorize those commandments on our Pinterest board for this series. And my personal favorite, I love to learn through music. So we provide you with a link in the environment guide to the song The 10 Commandment Boogie, which if you've not heard of it, it's very catchy. You'll even be singing it by the end of the series.
Absolutely. Now you're gonna try to get it out of your head, which will be impossible. And we also suggest more music options for you to play this month in the environment guide. We have a playlist for elementary and preschool. You can also check out the Spotify playlist that we've curated for you. Lots more fun goodies there. So don't skip the environment guide. It's in its own little folder, and you'll be happy you stopped by. Okay, so we gave you an overview of the series, about the big ideas and Bible stories, and we looked at how we can theme up our environments. So now let's talk about some more exciting features of Are We There Yet? If you've been using Grow for a while, you know there are some things that we like to keep consistent from week to week, and that is our teaching is broken up into three major sections. It's the what section, the so what section, and the now what section. In the what section, you are going to be playing some fun icebreakers and welcoming kids into your space and also setting them up to lead to the so what section, which is where they will learn the Bible stories, they'll learn the big idea, and do some more activities to help them further experience and just encapsulate all the things that the Bible story was talking about. There's also a secondary scripture for those of you who use it that further supports what they learned with the big idea. And then in our Now What section is where we get to do more of the application heavy things like having them reflect on some passages or some and prompting them with some questions, writing out some action steps they might want to take, and also memorizing the memory verse because that's important as well.
The basic structure stays the same every time, but each series uses a combination of building blocks like activities, videos, reflections, response, and more in each major section to help you teach the material in a fun and exciting way. And each series does something different with the building blocks, which always keeps things interesting. So, Linda, tell us which feature of Are We There Yet do you want to highlight first?
I want to start with talking about the big idea reveal. Each week, we include a segment where you can do something fun and big to reveal the big idea to kids after the Bible teaching. And we do this for several reasons. One, what's wrong with more fun? Two, by amping it up and making it a big deal, we're going to help kids look forward to this section and we're going to help them remember it more. That is our hope. And three, again, what's wrong with more fun? More fun, the better. So, in Are We There Yet? We suggest making a large desert map using brown butcher paper. You can use two pieces and kind of put them on top of each other to make them bigger. And then you take the big idea printables that we've provided for you, cut them out, or just print them and just put them double. You can print them double sided, or you can glue them back to back, whichever one works for you. And you kind of place them along this arbitrary path you're going to create on this desert map. There are also some desert animals you can cut out and use as well. And we suggest you pick one of those animals and you attach like a magnet to it and put them on either sides of the butcher paper. So then from behind the paper, you can kind of like move the animal from location to location. And the kids will be like, whoa, how are you doing that? And the preteens will be like, that's just a magnet. But it'll still be a fun way to do it as you go from location to location as you reveal the big idea each week. We've we're just so excited about this. And you know what? Magnets, you're like, oh, that is just too much work for me. You can just use tape. You can use Velcro. Get creative. We're really excited about to see what you do with it. Do what works for you is the tip we have. Another thing I want to talk about is the Bible story. Our storytellers this month are going to be Moses, Aaron, and Joshua. And I know most of our ministry leaders were women, and we're kind of like, I don't know if I can dress up to be a guy. You can do it. You can do it. We believe in you. And if you have the volunteer force, this would be a great time to get people, different people to come in and pretend to be this character. But if it's just you, that's perfectly okay. You can be all these characters because none of these people are appearing at the same time. It's one at a time per week. One week it'll be Moses leading the discussion, another time it'll be Aaron, another time it'll be Joshua, and it'll be just great. And also, no Bible costume needed. You can just dress up in like safari gear. Like you can do what I'm doing, like white linen shirts and hats, or hiking gear. And it'll just be a really fun way to bring this Bible character into our modern environment and see how they talk to our kids. Kelly, tell us some things that you are excited about for Are We There Yet?
Yes. So, one tidbit that I have for you is if you happen to be a Grow Kids user, back in volume 4, we actually did a series called Road Trip, which was on the Ten Commandments. And this is a great time to head on back there to see if any of the ideas that your kids loved then are worth repeating now. Repeating ideas and bringing back fan favorites is always fun, a fun little surprise. Like Linda said, this series can be what you want it to be. You can make it as extravagant or as simple as you want. And so going back into previous series is a great way to be able to make it come alive in a different way. Also, don't forget, friends, if you need support or encouragement on anything grow related, reach out to our customer success team. Our team loves you all. We are here to support you, to encourage you, to answer questions, to bounce ideas off of, right? You can reach us on the Grow website chat. You can reach us in this Facebook group. We are always here. You can schedule a growth strategy call with some of our amazing growth strategists. We are just here to love on you and support you. And so don't forget that we're here. If you need us, we're always around.
Yes, and speaking of hearing from you, we also want to see what you do with the series this month. So make sure you tag us on all your social media posts. That's stuff you can use because sometimes we will repost them and share them with everyone else who needs to see how awesome you're doing. And also, you can post those, like Kelly mentioned, in the Facebook group. If you're not viewing this video from Facebook, you can find us by searching for the group Stuff You Can Use, a children's ministry community. Anyway, thank you all so much for stopping by. Are We There Yet is going to be a fabulous series, and we are so excited for you to start that with your kids next month. So until our next deep dive, thanks for hanging with us. Bye.